update, guys. First of all, good morning. I'm here to talk about HPPD again, but now it's actually an update on my journey, you know, because in my first video of this channel, in the last video, I've talked about the mentality that will help you recovering from HPPD. And that mentality has proven to help me with doing psychoactive substances again. You know, like the PTSD form that comes with HPPD is more likely to be dysfunction of specific neurons that would activate in a different way. If you didn't have HPPD, just like most of you used to smoke weed in the past and can't smoke weed now, or even getting drunk can flare up your anxiety when getting drunk is actually an anti-anxiety drug, which is crazy that people have anxiety while drinking, like a panic attack while drinking. It's because you feel like you lost control over your mind again. Like, oh my god, I'm with no control over my mind once again. And then it doesn't matter what drug you have in your system, you're gonna be panicking or having anxiety. Just as me, that with a different mentality and a different use of my mind, doesn't matter what situation I am in or what freaking drug, I mostly never panic. I mostly don't really have freaking anxiety in my mental. My body can react like heartbeat or something, feeling bad, but my mind is always in the same spot. My mind is always in the same place. Because, one, meditation. Meditation can make you find out mind power, like controlling your mind, and controlling the mind will have impact on everything else. Also, you have lots of ways of seeing meditation. For those of you who believe in something spiritual, it's awesome as well. And for those of you that don't believe in something spiritual, even though I believe that after traveling into meditation, you're gonna start believing in spiritual stuff, because you're gonna find that inside yourself. Even for those of you who don't believe in spirituality, it's gonna be worth it. The mind has lots of things to explore, lots of things to find out. And what's the key point of meditating? It's that you're gonna start to find out your mind and the physical brain are totally correlated. It's obvious, but there are things, external things, that will affect the physical brain, even though it's not a physical brain change. Just like, let me develop a point here on drugs, right? Just like, for some people, a certain drug might act in the GABA system, right? So other person with the same freaking drug can actually panic and have lack of GABA. So imagine that it's not the mechanism of the drug exactly, but the way you are reacting in your mind, and probably that pathway the brain took will have different effects in the brain, even though it's not the mechanism of that drug. So much times you're gonna be able to directionate how your brain is acting by having more control over your own mind. And therefore, even if you use some drug like caffeine, that for me is totally relaxing nowadays, and that I drink huge amounts and don't even get close of feeling anxiety. And sometimes I'm feeling anxiety and it's caffeine that I drink. It's coffee, like black coffee, and I get rid of my anxiety afterwards. It's because the way I'm using to feel my own mind, and sometimes it's a lack of energy in myself that I'm feeling, that it's not letting myself use my mind to relax my body. So the caffeine gives me enough mind energy to actually get rid of that attention I'm spending to my heart and actually pay attention to what I'm doing without wandering so much through unnecessary places inside myself. So again, this is a video about an update on my HPPD, but I also want to talk about mentalities or some information that might be helpful for you guys. But now let's get to the point I was gonna start talking about when I started making this video. After 2 months without weed, I smoked it a lot yesterday, and I got drunk as well. It was a awesome high. Of course, I've been through that little span of time where you smoke and you're like, what is gonna happen? And in that part is where the dangerous things happen. What could happen? What could happen? And you start like, oh, that's gonna happen. Your mind accuses your reality of starting to go wrong, and your mind accuses your body of start to reacting bad, and then that's kind of an uncontrollable part of anxiety. The same anxiety from the bad trip, the same anxiety from anything. It's the anxiety that accuses you or your reality to be stuff that it ain't not. Or could be different simply starting from your own reaction. So like, I've seen that coming and I was like, I'm not gonna give attention to that. I'm gonna carry out the day just like I expect it to be in the best way possible. And then I had an amazing day, smoked it several times more, and even when I started having a flare up on my HPPD, which is my HPPD is intense, dude. Like looking to the ground and seeing those patterns, or looking to walls and seeing colors start to pop out. I've seen that layer of my reality, because that's our reality for some people that have HPPD in this level. And in that flare up, I could have panicked, I could have stopped smoking and went home like in an anxious state, but I actually smoked more and challenging myself once again. I did this once, and this time the results of challenging myself were greater even greater. Kind of, I found this switch in my mind after I started smoking more during the flashback. And that switch was like, you can go overboard, obsess in the visuals, feel that layer of reality only, and have even more of a flare up because you're bringing that place, into the surface again when it could not be that way. And the other side of the switch, the other side of the coin was like, what about normality? If it's so easy to focus on stuff that ain't there, how easy should it be to focus on stuff that is there? Stuff that ain't psychedelic, that ain't HPPD, stuff that is normal. That should be the easy part for the brain to do, not the opposite. You know, that should be what you're focusing on, where you are being present, where your brain is trying to process. You know, the brain should be trying to process itself on things that don't exist. The brain should be trying to process the reality you're living in, even though you know those little places, that image could be existing there because you've been there, right? In unimaginable levels. It ain't time to be there. It ain't time to focus on that. It's time to focus on normality, reality, and start to switch to this layer and lock yourself in this layer, right? So after that, I smoked more. I didn't have way too much of a flare up. I've had a DMT frequency meditation after that, which was trippy. I definitely saw visuals, closed eye visuals, and I wasn't having anything else after that. And today, HPPD is normal. Amazing. It's normal. Just like if I never had smoked or drank. I could say some parts of it are even better. You know? I've had experiences like this before in my first months with HPPD. If it wasn't smoking and drinking, parts of me wouldn't have been recovered so soon, I guess. You know? Because I needed to face and experience an altered mind state and brain state to acknowledge that I actually can switch the layers of myself, the perspective I have about myself, and the perspective I get from my reality. So, look this place. It's not an apartment. Yeah, I'm in Brazil. So, there are some walls there that are supposed to be trippy for my HPT. Like showing me colors, freaking moving or looking alien. And the less I focus on that, the more it disappears. You know? So, just like the way you think about this will make a difference on how you're gonna recover. So simply as I said in the last video, start manually changing your neuronal function. You know, like taking that little neuron that is looking to the psychedelic state and not looking to the right and real side of things. You gotta manually take that and switch, right? And you do that first of all, by saving your own mind, right? So you gotta develop more mind power. That's why I suggested meditation, the first thing in this video. And you gotta learn that nothing is permanent, not even you as you are right now. And also, even some stuff that could be permanent because you wouldn't change cannot be permanent if you do change. So let's start thinking about it, right? Switching the neurons manually to a normal state involves more than just trying to chill on every drug, you know, or just trying to relieve your anxiety every day with medicine or chamomile or anything. Sometimes it's about facing that anxiety, finding that knob tweak, and actually changing it, you know. So I hope this video was helpful to somebody. This is my update on HPPD symptoms and my journey, and I hope that the stuff I find out and live could possibly help somebody in the same situation as I am. That's it, guys. I'm gonna drink my coffee right now. This is the second mug. I'm probably gonna have more later because I'm in a little hangover from yesterday. Meditate, read a lot about the human mind and the human brain, and look into yourself and manually start to recover. It is possible. Some people won't find themselves in a situation of doing that, so they will probably look for meds. They will probably take Lamictal. They will probably take Keppra, or antidepressants or benzos. Just like I said, I've been on benzos. I've been on weed and alcohol at most, and only having a few experiences of living differently were already enough for me to okay, stuff can be like this again, stuff can be normal, I could feel good, but how do I conquer that without an external factor? Because let's get into reason here again. You did a psychedelic that changes your brain, and it permanently changed you because you found that in your own brain again, and you are kind of unable to easily turn it around again. That also can be with a non-anxiety state when you are sharp inside your own brain, right? So imagine that I've suggested meditation so you guys find manually those switches, those buttons that activate different brain states. Just like I said, the same drug that relaxes somebody can be the drug that sends you into a panic state, right? Not only because of how the brain pathways are, but that is simply the way the mind is running into the body. And sometimes you're gonna have to face and manually change that. Just like as if you are a person that often meditates and you find that manual switch of anxiety, depression, lack of energy, you're gonna start recovering from anxiety, depression, and lack of energy every day by just projecting your life differently into your mind that will be differently projected into your brain, that it's gonna differently act, and with some time will be concretized a different mind state. Stay cool.